The duty of transnational cooperation in relation to armed costs in countries of operation. The need for alternative mechanism for effective compensation, using Nigeria as a case study. The motivation for this research is partly because I'm a Nigerian, but more importantly because of my interest in environmental law, human rights, and justice. Nigeria is a hugely populated country. The vast majority of its economy comes from oil. Oil is drilled in the eastern part of the country, mainly the Niger Delta area. This is a riverine area, so water access, farming, fishing is very important to the people. So when we have oil spill that affect the waters, it affects the livelihood of the people and it makes their life very difficult. That takes me to the case of Bodo Community and Shell Nigeria Limited. In 2008, there were two major oil spills that affect the community. This community is part of the Niger Delta area. They contacted Shell, but Shell refused to make compensation. The case dragged its feet in Nigeria and ended up in the court in London, United Kingdom. In 2015, there was an out-of-court settlement to the tune of 80 million Canadian dollars. The research question is, does Shell have a duty to pay compensation? If it does the 80 million Canadian dollars represent an effective remedy? Thirdly, given our knowledge of bribery and corruption in Nigeria, shouldn't Shell have followed up this compensation? Using critical analysis method, I found that one, there's a big issue of access to justice in Nigeria, firstly because of the corruption and bribery, and also because of the nature of contracts signed by the Nigerian government and oil corporation. Then I look at the definition of effective remedy as provided by the African Commission on Human Rights as something that has to go into the root of the problem. And I conclude that the 80 million Canadian dollars paid by Shell to the Bodo community is not effective because it didn't deal with the problem, the essential problem, which is the oil spill. It doesn't also solve the immediate problem because there wasn't any mechanism put in place as to how this money will be disbursed to people concerned. So in conclusion, Shell has a duty to pay compensation. The 82 million Canadian dollars paid to the people is not effective. And because Shell activity is still ongoing in the region, there's more that Shell should have done to make sure that the settlement compensation is effective. The recommendation here is that there is a need to establish an alternative mechanism for effective compensation that will help the community to seek compensation and also help in building goodwill and better relationship between the communities and Shell.